Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, check out the Poketown store. You can get yourself a nice 5% discount on your orders using the OmniPoke code. For today's video, we're going to be looking at one of the decks that really did surprise at the Latin American International Championships. Now, it didn't quite make the push to top 8, but it did get 2 top 16 placements, and seems to be an archetype that had a very good Arceus, Palkia, and Dialga matchup, which is pretty appealing, to be honest. It, of course, has a lot of disruptive elements behind it, trying to use Reset Stamp sometimes even on the first turn, because you're going to feed your opponent prize cards, get yourself into Beast Ring, and at the same time give the opponent a low hand, kind of mimicking the effect of things like Let Loose that we've seen in the past, which is pretty interesting and can be a win condition in itself just by making the opponent sort of stumble in the early turns. And it's all based around the new Naganadel and Guzzlord-GX. It's a really interesting card that, for me, this sort of interaction with Beast Ring kind of flew under the radar, but it is a big reason why this is the main attacker in the deck, because it is a 280 hit point Dragon type Ultra Beast that has an ability and 2 attacks. The ability is a Violent Appetite. Once during a turn, you may discard a Pokemon from your hand. If you do, heal 60 from this Pokemon. It's one of the reasons why you can have a decent time against ADP, because you can Violent Appetite to start healing off some of this 2-hit KO damage that they're trying to do, especially if they do, 180 into like a Keldeo and start attaching with Ultimate Rounds Keldeo. You can try and push that to a point where you're out of range, especially in addition to Mallow Lana. You can buy yourself completely the turn back, which is really, really strong. Equally powerful against, non-GX attacking decks that are trying to put chip damage in here and there. You can really undo that quite nicely. I also think it's important that you can lower your hand size with this ability. You can get rid of excess Misdreavus and Mismagius in your hand. That's either to help yourself against Reset Stamp, or at the same time, it can simply improve your Mismagius that are on the board, because you can just get rid of like excess pieces that are in your hand at the time, so you can just draw deeper into your deck. So this ability is really nice, even just for like minusing cards out of your hand, which is pretty decent. Jet Pierce for a Psychic, Dark, and Colorless does 180. 180 is obviously a good number. Knocking out Dedenes is strong, and 2-shotting most tag teams pretty handily is very decent. Also, with the Beast Energy involved, you can also get a handful of, slightly higher hit points, basic GXs in some cases, like the 190 hit point things, and in other spots here and there, it means you can knock out like stage 1s, like Silvally GX and such, so that's sometimes a little bit helpful as well. We also have the Chaotic Order GX attack, which is a big deal here. For a colorless, you get to turn all your prize cards face up, but you will basically only ever use this for the full effect, and that's when it has colorless, psychic, and dark energy, so the same attack cost as Jet Pierce. You get to flip over those prize cards and take 2 prize cards. And that's actually like the ultimate win condition of this deck. When you're up against opposing tag teams, you will try and use Beast Bringer alongside a couple Jet Pierce attacks. So ideally, you 2-shot with Jet Pierce, and on that second attack, you have the Beast Bringer attached. You get to take 4 prize cards, and then Chaotic Order will take your final 2. So that's oftentimes how we will try and close the game against tag team GX decks, which is definitely fantastic for you. And in a lot of spots, the Chaotic Order can also just be really solid. I find this attack to be really, really solid in general, even if you're not trying to do the sort of attack 3 times game plan. That's certainly something that's on the table, though, so definitely one to bear in mind. The only other Pokemon we have in here is a 4/4 line of Mismagius. Mismagius with that Mysterious Message ability, allowing us to draw until you have 7 cards in your hand and knock this Pokemon out. The knocking out is as important as the drawing cards, because you want to activate your own Beast Rings as best as possible, and be reset stamping your opponent quickly as well. So the main idea here is using Dusk Stone to evolve immediately into your Mismagius. So ideally, if you go second, you can go double Mismagius, start using Beast Rings, attack on your first turn, at the same time reset stamp your opponent down to a 4-card hand. So that's pretty reasonable. At the same time as well, it's very natural to then stamp your opponent later game to a 1-card, because naturally one of your Naganadel Guzzlords will be knocked out, and then you've got to make them take, an additional tag team knockout with a much lower hand size. So that's kind of where the disruptive element of this deck comes in. It doesn't really have the most impressive damage output or anything like that, but you're disrupting the opponent, from the offset and hopefully the entire game. So that's the main core strategy going on here with the Mismagius. Onto the item cards now. We'll start off with the 2 of, which is Acro Bike. It's a nice card that helps you push, but you don't want to play too many of these because we do have some specific pieces. But in general, I think just having a couple of these never is too painful because you can have some awkward hands with this deck at times. For the 3 ofs, it's going to be Great Catcher for gusting your opponent's stuff, and 3 Reset Stamps, so we can disrupt our opponent as quickly as possible. On turn 1, if you are going second, you will be firing off your Mysterious Messages and hoping to get the combo going, and Reset Stamp is a big part of that combo. Also at the same time, as I said, once a NagGuz goes down, hopefully you've already popped a couple of Mismagius at the same time, you can stamp your opponent down to 1 card, which is obviously vital to stop them having answers to just go over the top and take knockouts on your big 280 hit point tag teams. From there, all the other trainers are 4 ofs. We have for Beast Ring, our main energy acceleration, so we can get into Jet Pierce quickly and also set up multiple threats at once, which is really cool. For Dusk Stone and for Treasure are just here to get the Mismagius online, and then we have 4 Order Pads to help us additionally find pieces towards Dusk Stone and Treasure in those opening turns. I find more often than not the Order Pads are more important on those opening turns to find those pieces, but at the same time, great synergy with things like Bill's Analysis. If you just fail the raw targets, the Order Pads are always a second chance saloon if you really have no other options, which is pretty decent, I would say. And then we have 4 Tag Call, gives us great access to our main attacker throughout the entire game, but also gives us it sort of masks the low physical support account that we actually play. We play 3 Cynthia Caitlin as our only real draw supporter, Bill's Analysis tutors cards. So yeah, the Tag Calls really are trying to help thin the deck, get our main attackers online, and get us into our draw pieces, which is pretty decent. Onto the supporters, we play 1 Ultra Forest Cart Envoy. This means that we can get through the effects of Keldeo, which is obviously important against ADP and a few other matchups like Quagsire. So that's definitely decent. You only play 1 copy, you only need 2, in theory, because we can Cynthia Caitlin the guy back whenever we need him. Of course, if he is prized, we have the benefit of going for Chaotic Order earlier on in the game, flipping our prizes, taking the Cart Envoy, and then we don't just instantly lose to Keldeo. So you get away with 1 count here quite happily because of the GX attack that we have available, so don't ever worry about that. 2 copies of Mallow Lana to give us additional healing against those 2-hit KO style decks. Gives us a really good time against, like Malamar and ADP. Once again, buying a free turn completely against them can be fantastic. 3 Cynthia Caitlin to reuse some of these supporter cards and also reuse our Bill's Analysis, which is a 4 of in the deck, to allow us to look at the top 7 and get some trainers out. Most notably, we're looking for the pieces towards Mismagius in the opening turns. And then, if we've fired off our Mismagius, it's things like Beast Ring, Great Catcher, Reset Stamp. Those are the cards that you really want to keep your eye on throughout the entire game. And we also play 2 copies of Beast Bringer. As I said, it means that we can do that 3 attack game plan against tag team based decks, which is pretty nutty. Also, just taking like 3 prizes against a Dedenne and stuff like that can be equally powerful. So sometimes you will hold off on attacking things if you feel like the Beast Bringer will get you additional value. But don't forget that, like, if there's something like a Jirachi in the active or something, you can just knock that out, and it's essentially doing the same thing as a Beast Bringer knockout. So don't be too stressed out if you want to just start jet piercing quickly. But the Beast Bringer just makes your game plan that little bit shorter, which can sometimes be really epic. Then for the energy, we play 9 total. I'm playing the 1 Beast, as well as 4 Dark and 4 Psychic. Obviously, Jet Pierce requires 1 of each of those, so recycling, well, having enough of both in the deck is important, so we can pull them out with the Beast Ring. This list is a little bit different from the list that got 2 top 16 placements via the DDg crew. They played a couple copies of Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, which I think can sometimes be cool for your push potential on that key turn where you're going for the Mismagius pieces, but overall I just wanted to have more Bill's Analysis, because the Lieutenant Surge basically lets you push for like 10 cards on a single turn, but at the same time it's really like 8 cards because you're having to hold the card in your hand before you Mismagius a lot of the time, unless you just happen to like high roll into it off your like 4-card draw. So it feels weird to play 2 Lieutenant Surge in my book. The thing that helps, like where it helps the most, is you can like Surge Cynthia Caitlin and grab that Mallow Lana back and reuse that card or stuff like that. Or you can go Surge Cynthia Caitlin, grab Cart Envoy, but overall I found it too cute, and I want to just have a higher count of Bill's Analysis in general, because that card is like the bread and butter of your opening turns, I would say. So yeah, I wanted to max out card counts of that guy. Also, I'm not playing Energy Recycler. Energy Recycler could be a decent way to just have a better time against Crushing Hammer style decks. I think for the most part, your window of opportunity against those archetypes is quite short anyway. You're going to try and blow up as many Mismagius as possible against them and stamp them as much as possible so they don't get very well set up and start firing off Jet Pierces just quickly. I feel like that win condition is way more relevant than, you know, waiting around until you've got Energy Recycler and then that sort of like gives you more time. But I think if they've got developed, you're not going to win anyway. So, yeah, I feel like an extra physical energy is stronger than the recycle system overall. Or the recycler, yeah. So those are the Pokemon that we're playing. Obviously, if you want to have a better time against control, I would say the Omastar could be an option here. It's a little bit too cute to find, especially because we have no ball search for the physical Omastar himself. So you'd probably have to weave in something like a Pokecom or two in here as well, which gets a little bit awkward, so it will eat into a lot of spaces. But if you are worried about the control matchup, that can be something that you do go for. Obviously, we saw the top 8 list from Gustavo playing only one Nag-Guzz and was more power plant focused, alongside Giratina Garchomp, and instead of using Beast Rings, it used the Karate Belts and counter gains and all that sort of stuff. So if you want to try out that sort of build, that's open to you as well. You get to play a Green's Exploration Engine, which is pretty strong, and you get to play Power Plant, which is also pretty strong. But I feel like this archetype has a stronger ADP matchup, so that's why I'm profiling this build here, as well as the fact that we don't actually know Gustavo's exact 60. I think I have a good idea, because obviously I was casting for the tournament, and I got to look over the list once or twice, but because he was unwell during the event, we actually never streamed him. He was like special request to not be on stream because he was feeling unwell and all that sort of stuff. So we actually never got him on stream, unfortunately. But yeah, he's done a good job of keeping his deck secret, I guess. Alright, we start off with a treasure, which is always great. We can go ahead and get Misdreavus. We have gone first, so we probably won't be blowing up any Mismagius turn 1. We'll be looking to do it on some future turns. We do have all of our stamps, which is nice. We have 3 Beast Ring available. That's pretty fine. We have the Beast Bringers, which could be relevant for sure. Okay, we're going to grab our Misdreavus. Of course, treasure also helps get Nag-Guzz as well, so a lot of outs to finding that straight away. We're going to go for a bike here. I can happily get rid of one of our stamps because the other one is in deck. I think that's one luxury of playing 3 compared to 2, which was something the DDg guys played. Pretty good options here. Happy with this build. I can develop my backup Nagaguzz. We can also get a Cynthia Caitlin to hand, which seems reasonable. The one thing with this hand is it's actually so big, I'm not going to be drawing much off of Mysterious Message unless I happen to be able to Great Catcher next turn, which could be the case. Let's map out my turn. I'm going to attach, I'm going to play, I'm going to have 3, 4, 6. So next turn I draw, play, I can play the Mismagius, I can burn the Dusk Stone for no effect. So do I even want this Cynthia Caitlin? I could just take double Nag-Guzz here. I can always bench one and Violent Appetite one away. It puts a bit more pressure on drawing cards from the build's analysis, but we're also drawing off the Mismagius anyway, so I'm going to attach the active here. Not too concerned about any attack that they can come up with turn 1. I'm just going to pass. I could Dusk Stone just to thin the deck a Mismagius, but it would be better if I like build's analysis into another treasure or something like that to get another... Yeah, it just means that our top decks are better. If I draw any Misdreavus or treasures, or if I bill into either of those pieces next turn, it's just way better that I have the double Mismagius threatened. Alright, looks like we're up against a greens-based Charizard. Obviously, they've got the Volcanion. They're going to Tag Call for Lopuff and Zard. They also get a Heat Factory. One weak point of this list is that it plays no stadiums whatsoever. So we actually won't be contesting Heat Factory the entire time, which will make our reset stamps a little bit less useful. But there we go. They're going to grab the Break Zard. And I guess they'll just be Heat Factorying and probably just Flare Startering to it as well. Haven't seen a supporter yet from them. Oh, and they don't have a supporter. Interesting, they flinted away Cynthia Caitlin. Without actually... Oh, wow, and they're even attaching to the Volcanion. Okay. So we draw an energy. I feel like I want to start with the bills here. Because like I said, if I can get that second Misdreavus, if I can get a treasure and order pad, it's going to be pretty decent. Okay, no luck there. We are drawing cards though. I always want to thin this. I always want to play the Great Catcher. So I'm going to burn Dusk Stone. I'm going to evolve Mismagius. I can Great Catcher away NagGuz and the thing I take off this bills. I can attach. So then I'd be drawing how many cards? I'd have 2. I'd be drawing 5. Do I want the other Dusk Stone to draw 4 and have the option to immediate Dusk Stone? Let's think about this. 1, 2, 3. Play this. Attach. I think I'm just going to burn the Tag Call and take nothing else. Alright, so I'm going to Great Catcher this. I could actually Great Catcher away an energy as well for an extra discard. Alright, so I'll do this. So I'm Great Catchering this and this. Burning this. I can Appetite this. I can evolve this. But do I keep the Dusk Stone in hand instead rather than burning it? Yeah, I think I keep the Dusk Stone. Alright. So I think I want to just... Don't want to burn anything from this Tag Call. I think the Mallow Lanas are still important in the deck. So we'll just do this. We'll Appetite. And we'll get our first message off. We're really looking for treasure or Misdreavus here. Pretty unlucky. We got all of our Dusk Stones. That's pretty rough for us, to be honest. So it looks like we just got to pass here. Bit of a shame. This is a combo-orientated deck at the end of the day. And sometimes you just don't get the pieces you need. This deck is certainly capable of getting you very strange hands. Opponent's going to bounce their own Heat Factory, which I'm actually really thankful for. I see greens, so they won't be attacking us for damage this turn unless they switch into like Volk and go for a high heat blast. That looks like the option they want. Okay, we're going to see the Poké Gear. Grabbing them a greens. I grabbed a Jesse James from there. Greens as well, which is a bit strange. Alright, looks like we've got a Bill's Analysis to try and get, again, treasure is the best card that we can find. It's another whiff, which really does suck. Let's just grab this stuff. We're going to thin the deck. Okay. I guess I'm attaching here. Wow. Yeah, this is rough. The deck can sometimes not cooperate with you. It's pretty wild statistically that we found 4 Dusk Stone and we've only seen 1 Misdreavus, 1 treasure, no pads at all. Statistically very odd. For the amount that we've drawn. But that's a world we're living in right now. Feels like we're going to have to try and stamp to 1 as quickly as possible, especially if he switches into the Zard here. Just going to pay retreat, okay. So we have no more Beast Rings, which sucks. Because that early knockout we did on ourselves, that is one risk of the Mismagius. If you can't pull off both, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. That's why we attach to the bench, obviously. But I only have 4 draws to actually find an energy here, and we don't play a lot. Has to be specifically a dark or a beast, and we've gone through 2 dark energies. Jeez, okay. Dark energy or beast energy? Yeah, I thought so. Alright, we can burn a bunch of these. We've got a stamp first. 2, 4, 6. So I have 1 more draw. We got to keep the other stamp because he can always just brilliant flare more stuff. Pad can't get me any card that gets me energy, so I think we just got to scoop here. Unfortunate, but we'll go again. I have witnessed a lot that this deck can have very strange hands. I've had like 10 games with the deck so far, and weird hands is definitely a frequent occurrence, I would say, with the deck. Sometimes it pops off and you feel insane. Sometimes you feel insane for a completely different reason. Hand's pretty decent here, though. Actually, finding Misdreavus helps. Alright. Staring down a Ditto Prism. What plays Ditto in this day and age? A decent amount of decks, to be fair, but... Alright, so when you go first, you don't try and wombo combo. You just try and build your hand as much as you can. Yeah. And ideally, we find ourselves a... another Misdreavus. I think this stamps the discard here. Okay, sweet. Alright, we got double Mismagius for next turn. Should be a lot of draw potential. So it seems very decent for us to pass it over. And we'll learn a bit more about what our opponent's playing. Definitely playing Acro Bikes. This is going to be the Sylvali Quagsire deck. Let's read on. Yep, looks like it's Sylvali Quag. Alright, they didn't do a huge amount. So probably... I still will stamp him, because I'm going to give him 2 cards. We're going to play the bike first. We don't need the bringer. So I'm going for a Ditto this turn. We have pads galore. Alright, first thing I want to do is get a Beast Ring. I'm pretty sure. And then do I just keep these other cards? I mean, I already have exactly... I guess I could flip tails on the pads. And I can minus them from my hand. See? So we're going to message. Give us 5 cards. We can lower the hand size to make the next Mysterious Message strong. You want to grab targets so you can just munch them away. You want to put down the useless card. You want a message first. We want a Beast Ring. We want to tag call out our other cards. And do I want a Cynthia or do I want a Bill? I think I want a Bill because the next Beast Ring is still good. Even though it's only 1 energy, it still just keeps us ready, you know. Cart Envoy is going to be good in our hand because they can definitely be playing Keldeo. They probably are playing Keldeo. So, next up is the question of, do I want to Celtic Order GX or do I want to attack for this Ditto? The reason why I might not want to attack for the Ditto is because he would have to like find a physical evolution for this to pay retreat. Because he will only have a red-blue this. It might make him find more stuff to actually attack us next turn. Alternatively, we're just like forcing a promotion out of him early. We didn't get Stamp, which is a bit of a shame. I don't mind Celtic Order here. They're not really a Stamp deck. I know the Evenov's list didn't play Stamp, for example. So doing this feels fine. I'm going to grab a healing piece. I'm going to grab that Stamp as well. So my route is hopefully going to be find Beast Energy as quickly as possible and go through to Sylvali. Also, getting for a Keldeo is chill. Oftentimes, a lot of these Sylvali's attacks, they're 2-hit KO based, and we do have a lot of healing, so that's good for us. Got rid of his Turbo Striker. You can now draw 5 with Disc Reload. I'll draw 4, sorry. He's just going to wash out Retreat. That looks to be the case. So they do have their GX attack. Okay. They're going to immediately GX. Which is good for us in terms of Reset Stamp, but bad for us in terms of pressure. So if I can Reset Stamp plus find a Beast Energy, it's absolutely insane here. But I only have 3 draws to do it. But we have no better supporters to play, so... No luck there. It would have been very lucky to do it, to be fair, but here we are. Right, so how do I get knocked out? Nothing knocks us out. Is stamping worthwhile until I've actually got through this guy? I mean, you can always just get a second Sylvali down anyways. It's still less cards for him. It's not our last Reset Stamp either. So we're probably just going to do it in Jet Pierce here for 180. We're hoping that our Appetite helps us out as well in terms of healing some damage here. The Keldeo down actually really helps us because we do have Cart Envoy. So we just need to attack 2 times to win the game now. We need to get through this Silvally and then gust up the Keldeo and Cart Envoy. So that's potentially good for us. They do use a Cynthia, so they have the full value of their Brave Buddies here. What else can they do? Swell is fine. Doesn't affect us at all. Another Quag also doesn't really affect us too much. This deck's output is quite straightforward, so I don't think there's too much I'm concerned about. Next turn, his maximum energies in play can be 5, because he can red and blue and attach. So 6 plus 100 is 160. So we're way out of range once I appetite up here. So that should be pretty okay. We never need all these bills. And if I could stamp him to 1 whilst knocking this out, he's going to be in a lot of pressure. So the bills is looking pretty decent this turn. Let's start with the appetite. This puts me on 220. What kills me? Nothing kills me, right? Oh, we hit the stamp as well, which is great news. I can grab more treasures, which is also good. So it's a stamp to 1. It's a knockout. He has to deal with 220 next turn. And we're looking at game in hand. So it seems decent. These cards don't matter. And like I said, the Quag deck isn't really one that oftentimes plays Reset Stamp. Doesn't really have space because they're multiple stage 1s. Well, they drew a Silvally. That's something for them. Get some drawing cards. Let's have a Mew, which is fine. They're going to wash out a couple energies. Remember to gust before you use the Cart Envoy. Opponent's active Pokemon only is what's affected. So I got to gust first, otherwise I would be very sad. So don't order lol yourself. Alright, able to be a Quag deck. Not bad. Let's get another game in. So far we've had one game where the lock hasn't worked, and one where it has. Gone first a lot these times as well, so we've not been pressured to do it turn 1. Double Misdreavus is exactly what you want to see when you're going first. You want to pop off turn 2. And having the double Misdreavus means that one can just get knocked out, and you only get to Mysterious Message once, but you make the opponent take 2 prize cards. Alright, I see an Oranguru. Control decks are very scary. Like I said, we're going to try and... oh man, both these cards are really good. But I think we're going nowhere without this. And I can also draw 3 off of a Cynthia Caitlin this turn. It's usually just us trying to blow up as many Mismagius as possible, as quickly as possible, and combine it with Reset Stamp at the same time. It's a pretty simple plan. Sometimes you just get them before their setup's ready. Oh, again, 2 really, really good cards. It's going to be the Dusk Stone, though. We can dig deeper via the Dusk Stone. We'll bench this. I guess I get rid of a Great Catcher here. Okay, getting 3 Misdreavus down is very, very good for us. So next turn I can treasure, Dusk Stone. We'll have 3 Mismagius. The stamp's already there. We'll get ourselves into Beast Ring and we'll try and stamp them to at least 3. Well, at most 3. And we'll see how the Pigeon player can deal with that. If they can, fair cop. You move on to the next game. But sometimes they can't. They have a few turns to try and deal with it, but... Surprised they actually grabbed any Pidgeotos there, to be honest. Alright. Let's get this show on the road. So against every other deck, you only want to blow up 2 Mismagius, but against Control, you try and blow up all 4, if you can. And that's what we're going to try. There's an argument there for me to actually have searched out my 3rd Misdreavus instead. But, you know. Sometimes you just find it anyways. So we're going to try and stamp them to 2. Turn 1. Which is the plan. Which is basically a plan in motion right now, as long as these pads don't wreck us. Very good. So from here, it's just try and find the rings. I don't remember if I had all my Nagaguz in the deck. You definitely want to power up 2 so you have answers to Articuno. So I guess I'm just putting this down. If I knew I had the 3rd in deck, I would play the treasure for the 3rd, but I don't remember. Okay, so there's all our Beast Rings also. Beast Rings are now immediately live, and we've just drawn into 3. So we are officially popping off. We can do this. So it's going to be a stamp to 2, a knockout as soon as possible. We had the 3rd one. Feels bad, man. I can appetite it away. Oh, I can't appetite it away. Whoops. Alright, message number 4. Message received, I think. So any supporter I want on the discard pile? No. Okay. More switching effects sounds good. Order pads for options sound good. And I will be jet piercing before chaotic ordering here. because I want to threaten the Pidgeys while they hopefully draw bad. 3 random cards. Let's see how wrecked we get. Crushing Hammers are scary ones. Especially when I don't play Recycle system. Oh, so lucky, bro. You have a good deck. Fuming. Alright, well, they have 2 MLs this turn. Only... Well, I guess they could pay retreat and have 2 MLs next turn as well. It's still a long ways for them, right? Bellelba isn't a scary card off the Pokegear. Do I stamp to 2? It's our last stamp. We know that one of their cards is a Bellelba, which isn't really a scary card. I think I just attack here. We only have 7 cards left in our deck. So I don't think I should get too frisky or anything. That's the problem with drawing too much. But their deck is still really fat. We're 4 attacks away. Oh, sorry, we're 3 attacks away from game. And they still have a 38 card deck, so still a lot of pressure for them to deal with right now. And that's with a high roll of an Elm off of 3 cards. Fabulous, fine. Oh, this means we win in 2 attacks. I think I do want to stamp him, though. It's again, I know that one of their cards is Bellelba. I think I eat this just so that I don't draw into it off of a stamp from their end. Let me just do this. Taking energy off prizes is very good. Alright, we're an attack away. They have 2 airmails to try and handlock us and remove enough energies from us. We have 3 cards left in our deck. See a Chip Chip. And we get there, right? Give me those cards. Give me the game. Alright, we actually had the ideal scenario against the bird player. We got all 4 Mismagius blown up in a turn. It's pretty wild. I mean, ultimately, a lot of the time, you won't be able to achieve all 4. But also a lot of the time, they won't get so lucky off the 3. So, I think it kind of balances. I think you can see why an energy recycler won't change the matchup too much. Like, it puts more pressure on us for them to miss hammers in those opening turns, but you're trying to make the game go as short as possible anyways. So it's kind of weird. Alright, going second this time. And we have a Misdreavus here. Really happy we've got some bikes available. You can always promote Misdreavus because you can always blow up Mismagius from the active. Protect your Nag Guzz in the back a little bit better. And we're up against another Charizard Breaks in deck. Maybe we can get some revenge this time. They're going to gear for Welder. Never too shabby. More Pokegears coming out. More Welders also. Oh boy, they play the Fossils. Okay, that's scary. We also don't have a very large bench a lot of the time, so I think it's not too big of an issue actually. So we're going to try and get our next Misdreavus, and we're hoping these Acro Bikes get us towards Dusk Stone. If possible. I don't need any more treasures. The treasure can lower our hand size if I want it to, though. But I think I'll keep the stamp. And we'll try the bills to try and get some of these Dusk Stones. It's a big miss, so it looks like it's Order Pad to save us. So that we can pop off, hopefully. Alright. We're going to try it. We'll just grab our Guzz for maximum draws. We can also munch a Mismagius. Five cards to find our next Dusk Stone or Order Pad. Well, we get a double pad. So that's something. Oh boy. Okay, this time it works. So now it's just finding Beast Ring. We don't have a lot of cards to find Beast Ring, I'll be honest. I may be firing off the stamp first. Just have better odds at the Beast Ring. Some counterintuitive sequencing there, but it's for the draw more than anything. Looks like Order Pad is going to be our saving grace here if we can get the Beast Ring. So we will be promoting them on with energy. Let's see it. Bust. This is a lot of pressure. Actually, it's we've already got the Psych Energy, so we want to have a higher chance of being able to Beast Ring the Dark. We do have Beast Bringer in the deck. That's the only thing we're missing at this point. So we'll Jet Pierce once. Hopefully next turn I can Bill's Analysis towards Beast Bringer. Then we knock out the Charizard, and then everything's looking peachy. Our opponent's got the greens, something they were kind of lacking the first turn. They get Flint and Tag Call. Gonna get another Breakzard and a Mallow Lana this time. Will we be achieving the 3-attack dream? We have a Bill's Analysis to get us towards Beast Bringer and the other Beast Ring as well that's in our deck. Well, there's the Bringer. That's pretty sweet. Bringer Stamp sounds really good. I'm pretty sure I just win now, right? I'm almost certain there's no way that he can knock this out in one hit. Yep, we just win. That's the deck at its best, I guess. You just pop your Mismagius, your Beast Ring, your Smack, and then we're 2 attacks away from game, and essentially, on our second turn of the game, we said, can you hit 280? If not, we have win on board. Good luck to you, sir. And that was us stamping into a 4-card hand as well on turn 2, so it's so much pressure from this deck. I think we saw the highs and the lows. Obviously, game 1, it was a bit of a train wreck. We drew really poorly. But you're seeing how the stamp to low hand combo is just able to beat a lot of matchups. I think naturally this deck has a bit of an awkward time against Mewtwo's, and also I think against Ability Zard. These are decks that are playing their own Jirachis now, so they can get out of early stamp shenanigans a lot better. And, you know, Zard plays Zebra, and Mewtwo at the very least has a very high count of Dedenne and access to Dedenne. This deck isn't playing any power plants or anything like that, so they just naturally have ways out. And obviously they're welder-based decks that can hit that 280 very, very quickly. If you go second against them, they've already welded and attached, then it doesn't matter what you do to their hand, they might already be able to just 300 you the next turn. So I think there is a lot to be desired for this archetype, but I do think it's one worth exploring, and I think it will find its way around tier 2. Just because it naturally has a great time against ADP, and you saw that it can be reasonably against control, and a few other archetypes out there as well. So thanks so much for watching this wacky deck, guys, and seeing it in action. Let me know what you would do with the list. Would you have a tinker around? Would you put the surges back in? Do you like the energy recycler? I'll hear it all down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Cheers.